Every week, we discuss the challenges and opportunities facing local journalism. But what happens when a young reporter decides to experience it firsthand by driving across America and visiting independent newsrooms along the way? What's inspiring a new generation to choose journalism despite the layoffs, the closures, and the uncertainty? Today's guest isn't studying local news from a classroom or a conference stage. She is seeing it one small town newsroom at a time. Hi, I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine. This, of course, is E&P Reports, our weekly vodcast series that explores people, ideas, and issues shaping the future of news publishing. Jasmine Shiffer, welcome. It is an honor to have you. You're in Utah right now. Where are you?
I'm in Monticello, Utah, at the RV park.
Are you, I was going to ask, first of all, let me just introduce you to the audience, and I'm going to try this, but I'm going to blow it. You're a columnist and reporter for the
The Shawangunk Journal. I know it's a mouthful.
Man, if you could play that in Scrabble, you'd get a few points, wouldn't you?
Oh, I know.
The other one is Kingston Wire. I can say that. New York's Hudson Valley. This summer, let me get this right. You packed a car, hit the road, and began documenting visits to independent newspapers across America. And you got a weekly column, Instagram videos, and you're kind of you're doing a chronicle of this. This is amazing. Is that your car next to you? Is that what you're driving?
Yes, this is her name is Junie. She's my home these days.
Do you sleep in the car? Do you have a tent? What are you doing?
Yeah, she's a minivan. She's got plenty of room back there.
All right. Are you alone? Do you have a friend with you? This is all just you.
This is me and my best friend.
Which is your car or your best friend?
My best friend. We're doing this together.
Oh, cool.
And, so we've both been writing for the paper. It's a team effort, but the news aspect of it, we do a travelogue where we just write about what we see, but the newspaper stories, that's me.
Okay, well, hang in there, because
Oh, thank you.
No. I was going to say to the audience, hang in there. We're going to find out which newsroom surprised her most, what publishers are getting it right, maybe what they're missing in Jasmine's eyes. And after seeing local journalism up close across America, I'm going to ask Jasmine, does she still believe in a career in journalism? Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, my name is Walter Hussman. Our family has been in the news business for over 100 years. Journalism includes two parts, reporting the news and providing opinions. But in recent years, there's been too much opinion appearing in news reporting. This has eroded public trust in news reporting to the lowest level of any U.S. institution. To address this, we started a nonprofit, the Center for Integrity in News Reporting.
The Center for Integrity in News Reporting, CFINR, is on a mission to rebuild public trust in journalism, one newsroom and one classroom at a time. We champion the effort to have news organizations and journalism schools create and prominently display their own clear, concise statements of core journalistic values. Learn more by visiting the Center for Integrity and News Reporting site at cfinr.org.
All right, Jasmine, first things first, whose idea was this?
It was a collaboration between me and my parents who own the Shawangunk Journal. And I wanted to find a way to go on a trip like this and learn something and write about something that mattered to me. And so I pitched this to them as, what if I went and visited other newspapers like us and wrote about it? And that was a way for me to make this trip relevant to our readers in the Hudson Valley and also discover something for myself about journalism, see what the state of this whole industry is. So it was a collaborative idea.
Are you finding what you expected or are you being surprised? This is my first question.
I would say as a whole, I'm surprised. I'm finding more optimism than I thought I would, which is a very pessimistic thing to have to say. But, you grow up in a journalism family and this is a challenging industry. And I was ready to, encounter challenges wherever I went. But I've met so many journalists who are committed and really believe in this in spite of, all of the media madness going on around us. And so it's been very heartening for me.
How are you choosing where to go? Are you doing it because this will be a great place to visit, or are you actually targeting specific publishers, or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little of both. I think, it is very much dictated by where we wind up every week and, what sort of draws us in any direction. It could be anything. It could be a newspaper, it could be just something we'd like to see on the road. But there have been a couple newspapers that we have sought out because they seem really cool.
All right. When you're looking at these organizations through a different lens, Gen Z, what do you notice immediately when you walk into their newsrooms and their operations?
Well, there's a surprising number of other Gen Zers writing news in these newsrooms. A bunch of the interviews that I have done have been with young women my age, young men my age, and it's not just a room full of old people reminiscing about the past. There are other young journalists out there doing this work. So that's something that I always notice right away.
Which is surprising. That's great. And that's very, very cool to hear. Has anything challenged the stereotypes that your generation, and I'm not trying to, I mean, I know it's hard to paint a generation with a broad brush, and you're not the spokesperson for an entire generation, but based on who you is anything changing the stereotypes about the old stodgy news business since you've taken this trip? Are you learning things that change that stereotype?
I think there are plenty of newsrooms out there that are doing their best with social media, are doing their best to be online and trying to embrace this new landscape and trying to meet people where they're at. I have met many a newsroom that is doing their best to make it there. I think that different newsrooms are at different places with that. There's a lot of discomfort with, moving into the digital age, but I think in terms of like reaching Gen Zers where they're at, there are newsrooms doing that. And it's just the challenge. Like, I think young people always struggle with relating to the news. Young people, we just want to enjoy ourselves. It's hard to internalize that it matters to us. But with age, I think with every generation, people start to get a little more rooted in the world and the news comes back to them. And so I think we're going to see that process with my generation as we we get out of our 20s and start to become a little more stable, maybe.
What's the count so far? How many have you visited?
9, I believe.
What's the goal? When are you going to end this thing?
I think we're going to try to fit in a couple more before we wander back to New York. Maybe 3 or 4 more, I think is the goal.
Tell me about one publisher, editor, or reporter you'll never forget from this journey.
We went to visit, this was our second stop. It was the Sundance Times. It was in Sundance, Wyoming, which is this tiny, tiny little town right outside the Devil's Tower. I don't know if you've ever seen the Devil's Tower. It is this magnificent rock thing coming out of the ground. And at the bottom of it is a little newspaper that was started by Sarah Pridgeon. She moved there from Devon in England and, worked for this paper for so many years. And then the owner went away and then she took it over and she has been running this mighty little operation in Wyoming for so long. And she told me a lot about how unique Wyoming is in terms of like news, because there's so little self-service out there that people really rely on print still. And she showed me her subscriber numbers. They look like they did in New York 20 years ago. And when you live in such a small town in which you have to rely on like satellite internet or none at all, the print newspaper is still how people get their information. And she really was living in an amazing print era still that exists in Sundance and that county. And it was just wonderful to talk to her and see all that enthusiasm.
All right. So besides a person now, was that the most inspiring newsroom, total organization you visited? Or can you think of another that inspired you about what's going on in local journalism today?
I think they've all inspired me in very specific ways. We went and talked to Willamette Week in Portland. They're an alt weekly, and they do very targeted stories. They're not really concerned with daily news, but they're more of an investigative operation, and they really dive into things. They take their time, and that to me was very inspiring, that there's still room in the journalism landscape for these really attentive types of stories. So I think they're really getting it right. And, in a big city like Portland, very literate city, they reach their desired audience. So I thought they were very impressive.
I'm going to get a little ethereal now and talk about the state of our democracy and in our Constitution that mandate we have to be that final check on power. The only industry even discussed in the Constitution is a free, unfettered press. I don't know
Mhm.
where you come from, what you write. Do you do enterprise journalism where you are? And please, you can tell me that in your answer. But are you seeing that across the country, especially as you visit different newsrooms in different places that may have different political leanings? Do you hear where I'm going with this question?
Well, primarily before this trip, I was a columnist and I wrote about, life in the Hudson Valley. So this type of journalism is new for me for sure, but I've done plenty of reporting in New York City too. And so that really prepared me to really dig into things here and do my own sort of investigation in every town that I went. And I think in terms of holding things accountable, it really depends on the community that you're serving. I spoke to an LA Times reporter who covered the LAPD, and we spent a lot of time talking about how he is a check on the power of the LAPD and how hard he works to maintain his sources inside. And so, at a large paper like that, where you're in a really blue city, there's a lot of room to be very critical of your institutions. But the paper I visited right after that, this was our most recent one, this was the Kingman Miner in Arizona, and they are owned by a network of newspapers that is still family owned, a family owned network, but they have a very different attitude because they have this very small community and they're owned by a larger company. And I asked the editor if, they ever cover the ownership landscape of their own newsroom, like whether they're reporting on the company that owns them. And he told me, he was like, that's not what my readers want to read. They want to read about my grandkids at the baseball game. And so I think when you have a community that really isn't going to read a story that's holding institutions accountable, they write what readers want to read. It's about getting eyes on the newspaper. So it really depends on the community who you're holding accountable.
I don't know if you've had your breakfast yet. You're sitting, it's morning time while we're recording this, so I don't want to keep you too long. I've got two more questions for you.
Sure.
After thousands of miles of travel, and of course, I ask this of all our guests on the show, are you more optimistic than you were before your journey about the future of our industry, the future of what we do, and the future of a local news entity, surviving and being relevant in today's society?
Yeah, I'm certainly more optimistic. I've met many people who are still committed to this industry, and I've encountered enthusiasm that's been very heartening to me. And I think, every time I visit a newspaper, I ask the big question about AI. And, I put it to every editor. I'm like, well, how are you meeting this goal? And most of them had told me something like, AI will exist and we cannot escape it, but we are going to keep doing what we do because we believe in it. And just hearing so many people reiterate the fact that there's a commitment to human told stories, even now when, so many industries are threatened by AI, that gives me hope because maybe, you know, human told stories are not going to be a mass product anymore, but there will be a niche, and that niche is where we will remain. And that gives me so much hope that our stories will still get told and listened to. And the market will change and the way we interact with it will change. But I think that there's always going to be people who want to hear stories that other humans have told.
Final question. Let's talk about you, the career you've chosen, and those that may not be thinking of doing it. I mean, because it's a crazy world right now. Getting
Mm-hmm.
into the industry, getting paid for the content that you produce, feeling good about the future of it. What advice do you give now to a young person who wants to be that person, who thinks this would be a career? And I want to hear the truth. What advice would you give that young aspiring journalist today? Not that you've already, mastered it and you're now in your 60s and you know what I
I'm on
mean?
my way there.
But you're in the game. Shout out. You got the podium. Talk to that young aspiring journalist for me.
Man, I mean, you have to hustle. And I think right now it's better to be versatile. In journalism school and in film school, they will tell you that it's really good to hone in on one skill and make yourself really marketable at one thing. But I think right now, when we're in such a unstable media landscape, it's good to be comfortable in a lot of mediums. So, you're going to have to feel a little better about social media and even film and maybe even podcasting. Like, I think the way to do it is to be comfortable telling your stories in whatever medium comes to you. Even, I don't know, theater. Like, it's best right now to be versatile because we really don't know, how the media landscape will look even in a couple of years. And so that's my strategy. I'm remaining versatile. I am open to any form of investigative journalistic project that comes my way. And yeah, versatility is, I think, what I would say.
I lied to you. I'm going to ask a sub question to that question.
That's okay.
The third rail, AI, embrace it or not?
Oh, embrace it at your own risk. I think it's a new frontier, and I love new frontiers. But at the end of the day, I believe that, human told stories are the only way that we will ever truly reach each other. And so if you're going to play with the new toy, that's great. It's fun. But in terms of the storytelling that really matters, I don't think it's helpful.
Jasmine Shiffer, columnist and reporter for, say the word, I can't say it,
Shawangunk Journal, subscribe. The Shawangunk Journal is awesome.
And Kingston Wire. With your permission, we're going to have a link to your post so people can see what your journey and what you post. Amazing content. And I want to thank you for, getting out of the car, sitting on the ground and spending some time with me on your journey. Keep it up and stay in touch with us, please. This is fun.
Of course. Everybody can also go to my website, jasmineshiffer.com, and all of my content is also listed there.
We'll provide a link on the landing page. Jasmine, do me a favor, drive safely, okay?
Oh, I will. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.